Hi, I'm Joni Patry, and welcome to my YouTube channel. Well, today I want to talk about a certain technique that we use in astrology called the solar return chart. And I thought this was fascinating because I pulled up the charts of Kamala Harris and Donald Trump, and what I saw, I felt like I needed to do a whole video and share with you because it's really I was shocked when I saw it, to be honest with you. But let me explain what I'm talking about. In Vedic astrology, we call the solar return chart the Varshafal chart. But in Western, it is the same thing. And actually, Varshafal is a Persian system, and it's actually a blending of Western astrology with Vedic astrology. But to make a long story short, what it is it's every year on your birthday, you get a whole new chart. So what it is on your birthday, when the sun comes back to the exact degree and minute that it was when you were born in your birth chart, then the chart is drawn up for that very second. So it's actually a transit chart of where all the planets are on your birthday. So each year, each birthday, you get a different chart. And it gives the effects of what you can expect for that year, such as your solar return when you turn 30, your solar return when you turn 31, 32. It gives you a general look. And actually, I always say it confirms what you already see in the birth chart using dashas and transits in the Vedic. Or if you're using Western, the progress chart or the transits. But this gives you an overall look what to expect for each year of your life. I actually do readings for people based solely on this. I call it the Varshafal reading, where it gives you predictions for that year only of a certain age. So I pulled it up because I thought, well, surely this will give us some great information as to both of the presidential candidates. And looking at this, let's go ahead and pull up the Varshafal chart for, well, we'll look at one at a time because this is going to take the whole screen. Let me move over here. So let's pull up Kamala Harris first. So Kamala Harris, before the elections, November 5th, her birthday is October 20th. And on her next birthday, she will turn 60. So what we're looking at is her 60th birthday, and this should give a depiction of what we can expect for the entire year that she's 60 years old. So let's put up her solar return chart. And as you can see, the sun came back to where it was when she was born, 4 degrees Libra, 26 minutes. So when the sun came back to 4 degrees, 26 minutes of Libra, it actually occurred on October 21st, even though her birthday's on October 20th. Sometimes the solar return can happen the day before or the day after your actual birthday. But when it hits that degree and second, the whole chart, including the ascendant and everything, is calculated, and we have a specific chart. And looking at her chart, we have the ascendant in Virgo. And what's interesting about this is that her ascendant is where K2 is. And K2, being close to the ascendant, is not necessarily a great thing. It means you want to kind of hide or disappear, not be in front of the world. And here she is. She's got to be in front of the world. but it kind of tells me she's not comfortable being in front of the world, with K2 being in her first house. And in her 7th house, we have Rahu. And that can be difficult because sometimes they say the 7th house is opponents, and Rahu is harsh and strong. It's serious stuff there. So I can see that. Plus Neptune's there. So maybe there's a little bit that she can't see that's going on with opponents. Now, the most important thing when we're talking about an election or social standing, anything to do with our career, we always want to focus on the 10th house. In astrology, the 10th house is the most elevated house, and it deals with your public esteem, who sees you, your image, your reputation, but most of all, your career and your purpose. So it's the most important house when we're looking at elections. Absolutely, it must be. So I'm looking at the moon being in the 10th house. That's actually a really good thing because the moon is the masses. And when people are born with the moon in the 10th house, they many times become famous. Usually what I tell people though, you will be famous in whatever your pursuit is in life. So if you're a plumber, you could be the best well-known plumber. But if you're in acting, you could be the best, most well-known movie star. That's what I mean by public recognition. The moon in the 10th house. And she has something called the Muntha there, that M-U-N you see there. Well, I didn't explain, but the Muntha is the revolving ascendant. If you will look at the Muntha at 1 degree Gemini, 03 minutes, that's actually the degree of her ascendant. So it's the ascendant revolving through the chart. And every year it moves up a sign. So last year it was in Taurus. This year on her 60th birthday it's in Gemini. And next year it'll be in Cancer. But the most important thing for this year is the Muntha's in the 10th house. What does that mean? Wherever the Muntha is in a chart means your focus for that whole year. What is her focus? The career, of course. But going back to the moon being in the 10th house, the moon represents the public, but it also represents females. And this means that Kamala Harris is definitely more popular with the females. The female votes, that's where the attention is. That's where she nails it. That's what's good for her. But looking throughout this chart, the most important thing really that I need to focus in on is that 10th house. Now, she does have Jupiter in the 9th house here, which is actually a blessing. It's a good thing always. The 9th house is the house of luck and blessings, spirituality and truth. So and it's also a house, by the way, of travel. She's traveling like crazy this year. I mean, this is actually a pretty good Varshafal chart. Mars actually sits in her 11th house. The 11th house are people you know. It's connections, it's groups and organizations. But Mars is debilitated in Cancer. And that would mean that some of her friends or the people that support her may not be what she thinks they are. With debilitated Mars there, it could mean that the people are, well, probably jealous or not backing her like they say they are. That's what I kind of get with that, especially since Mars is in the moon sign by being in Cancer, reflecting back to, well, that's actually could be a good thing. The ruler of the, the ruler of the 11th is in the 10th. People that support you. the moon in the 10th. Moon here is in Gemini too. It's all about communications. I just don't like Mars being debilitated. That's my whole issue with Mars in the 11th. But essentially, it could get a lot of people to rally around her and support her. So those are the main things that I wanted to point out in her chart. Now let's go ahead and pull up Donald Trump's Varshafal chart, solar return chart. So when we pull up Donald Trump's, what's interesting is his ascendant is Leo. Well, that's the same ascendant he has in his birth chart. And it is known that when your ascendant repeats in the Varshafal chart, as it is in your birth chart, it usually isn't a good thing. It can be a problem. So he's faced with a lot of problems. And let me remind you, Donald Trump's birthday was in June. His birthday was June 14th. And he had that assassination attempt in July. So this could mean this is a very dangerous year for him. And I want to say it is. He is in danger. He has got to watch his back from now all the way till next June. It's serious. Okay, but going on and talking about his Varshafal chart, his sun sits at 29 degrees of Taurus, 49 minutes. And here we go. That's where the sun comes back to that exact degree. And it occurred on his birthday, June 14th. And it's his 78th year. So this whole reading goes for the whole year that he's 78. Now, remember what I said about the 10th house? It is the most significant house when we are talking about career. Somebody running for president, that's where I zone in on. What's going on in their 10th house? And in this reading, I was astounded with what is in his 10th house. Seriously. I mean, whether you like him or not, you've got to give this solar return chart credit. He has the Sun, Mercury, Jupiter, and Uranus all in the 10th house. Jupiter is the planet that gives. It's the planet of opportunities and expansion and luck. It's in his career house. I thought that is definitely saying he will win the presidency. Whether you like it or not, this is astounding. And notice something else. Mercury and the Sun are exactly the same degree in this chart, 29 degrees of Taurus. That is called Cassimi. When a planet is the same degree as the Sun, usually you'd think when planets get too close to the Sun, they're combust, they're harmed, they're destroyed. But when they're the same degree as the Sun, that means they become one. And so the Sun puts out the light with the energy of Mercury. So Mercury deals with communications, information, intelligence. And this is what he's got going. Now Jupiter being there is incredible because actually Jupiter rules the 5th house in this chart, which is one of the best houses of the chart. The other house that we look at as luck and fortune is the 9th house. Just like Kamala had her Jupiter there, well, Trump has his Mars in the 9th house. And with Leo rising, Mars is ruler of the 9th and ruler of the 4th. It's what we call the Yoga Karaka planet that is powerful, So he's got the luck and fortune. Hopefully this will protect him, because with this, he even has the moon with K2. And he was born with the moon K2. It's almost like this is telling us something, that he is fulfilling a certain destiny in this year. Moon K2. The moon is the most sensitive point in a chart, and K2 can represent losses, emotional losses. So this is another indicator, in my opinion, that he must be careful. And Rahu sits in the 8th house. And I want to tell you something else I noticed. There is a lot of energy going on in Trump's 8th house with Rahu in his natal birth chart. Remember, his ascendant is Leo as well in his birth chart, as well as in this chart. It's almost like it's returned to a certain destiny that must be fulfilled in his life. In Kamala Harris's birth chart, she has a certain destiny, with Rahu being exactly on her ascendant in her birth chart. All of this play out is due to happen for a specific reason, I think. But I just wanted you to see what I'm seeing. And another thing, if you look to the 7th house in Donald Trump's chart, there's Saturn. Saturn's in Aquarius in the 7th house. This can represent his opponent. And I have to say, Saturn in Aquarius can be pretty strong. But all at the same time, it is Saturn, which can be difficult. Difficulty for the opponent. But I got to say, there's difficulty for both. And one last thing I want to point out that's stellar about this chart is that Mercury is in Taurus and Venus is in Gemini in the 11th house of great gains and people that support you. Why am I pointing this out? Because Venus being in Gemini, Gemini is ruled by Mercury. And Mercury being in Taurus, Taurus is ruled by Venus. So Mercury and Venus exchange signs. They're in what we call parivartana. In Western astrology, it's called mutual reception. And this empowers these two planets incredibly. So the 9th, the 10th, and the 11th houses of his chart are exceptional looking at this solar return chart. So I have to say, with looking at this chart, Trump will win the election. But the problems that are going to prevail for him after that, if he'll be able to serve as president, is questionable. But this chart makes it look like he will. But it is going to be contested. They're going to try to disqualify him. They may even try to kill him. That is just sick. But this is what I have to say I keep seeing from all of the charts that I've been comparing with the United States chart, with the transits, with Mars going retrograde. Everything that's happening is so extreme. We'll see how the astrology plays out here. We'll get a good feel for it. But I just wanted to show you what a solar return chart is all about, the Varshafal, as well as what we could see, and time will be the test as to how this chart reveals the future of both candidates. So with that, I think I'll close. If you would like more information on me, you can go to my website. Please go to galacticcenter.org and sign up for my free newsletter. You will get information you don't get anywhere there, as well as my Patreon page. Become part of a spiritual community. We talk about things we can't talk about here. So become part of that. And don't forget the Galactic Planner. Oh my gosh, I didn't mention that. Don't miss out on that, because the Galactic Planner is going to expire. The free month that we're giving out right now is going to expire October 7th. So you will get a free month. Try it out. If you don't like it, cancel it. But this takes your chart, your individual birth chart, calculates it, and will give you all the predictions in your chart, and it will be delivered into your calendar on your computer or your phone. So you will be prepared every day astrologically. I wrote all of these translations. Talk about time consuming. I did the work though. So go to galacticplanner.com, try it out and see how you like it. And if that's inspired you to learn Vedic astrology, go to my university. I teach the Varshafal chart. I teach everything. You will learn how to rechart yourself. Go to my university website. Everything's all online. Go to University of Vedic Astrology.com. Thank you.